am in Las Vegas. Yes, I am.
Jealous.
Very excited. I'm not saying anywhere that you would know about. Hampton Inn, my brother. Hampton Inn.
When I'm in Vegas, the place that I know about is home. I don't stay at the Hilton or the Bellagio. I stay where I can get good home cooking.
Yeah, for me, I mean, in this particular instance, I mean, I'm coming out here to entertain a client, go to Jared's golf tournament, Corn Ferry event. I mean, it's mainly for that. So, anyways, it's all good. But
were you bumping some country earlier too?
It's a country day. Yes, it is. I am bumping some country day. That was "Long Live" by Florida Georgia Line. Yep. One of my new favorite songs. So I'm going to join that. So, hang on. We're live on. I'm gonna just tell everybody that we're live on YouTube on LinkedIn. There we go. All right, and we'll get that. Robert or Greg, what's up, man? Roberts, I saw Roberts. Greg, what's up, man? How are you?
Sorry, doing all right.
Good.
Busy Friday, but I was glad that I could peel away for.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad you could join us. We got a big show today. It's going to be a big show. We got a lot going on. I hope that I get it all in, actually. But it's a Good Friday, a lot going on. It's not Good Friday, but it's a Good Friday. It's a lot of stuff going on, which is great. And we got a lot to talk about. So it's excellent. So welcome to Word on the Street, powered by Lean Solutions Group. Very excited about that. It's a country day here on the music. So we're going to do that. We got Nick Rumor coming in as well. So we'll get him involved, which is excellent. And so, yeah, so big things. Got some fun stuff happening this weekend. My daughter, Naomi, has her musical at church. She's been preparing for that. And this is like her thing. Like, this is her Super Bowl. So it's going to be a big weekend for that. She's very excited. Can't wait for that to start up. So Nick Rumor, what's up, buddy? All right, we'll talk to him when he gets here. No worries. So So the name of this musical is called The Tale of Three Trees. And it's kind of interesting because, church musicals usually have kind of a more spiritual like name to it, kind of get something, but this one didn't. And so we were like, I wonder what this is about. It's actually about trees in the forest and the woods. And the whole idea is these trees get cut down and turned into something, and they have dreams. Like one of them's like, I want to be a ship and carry the royalest of people. And then of course that tree gets cut down and turned into a boat that Jesus is on. And so, in the story of, him walking on the water and being with his disciples. So it's kind of a fun little musical. She's got a couple solos. So she's just like over the moon excited. Can't wait to do it. She's a fifth grader. And so it's the last year. So the fourth and fifth graders kind of get the bigger parts. So she's been, kind of moving up. And of course, last year they didn't have one because of, COVID. So she was like devastated about that. So she's been waiting 2 years for this and is very excited. So that's coming up this weekend as well. So
making it on the big stage. I like it.
Making it on the big stage. Yeah. Lots of stuff going on, which is great. So, so that's good. So as you guys might see, Robert Baena is not here. He is currently with a customer, but then he's going to hop on a plane coming out to Vegas to do some lifting. And we're hopefully going to get together for some dinner tonight. And I can see how much food he can actually put down at dinner. I said, hey, let's go grab some sushi. And it was like silent. And I went, and maybe where, they got like a steak or something. He goes, okay, all right, that sounds good.
I was going to say, he's going to need a lot of sushi to fill that.
I threw out sushi and he was like, not having it. But, well, I was also going to do, we were going to do, where is Chris Jolly segment, but the dude is actually kind of on time today. Like, I don't even know what to say about this. I mean, within the first 5 minutes, Chris Jolly shows up. I don't know what's going on today.
I don't know if that's ever even happened.
It's been a long time. It has been.
It's a lot of shit. It's a lot of shit for somebody who isn't paying me. That's all I'm saying.
Check's in the mail, my friend. Check is in the mail.
Exactly. What's up?
Not much, man. How are you doing?
Oh, fantastic, man. On cloud nine.
That's great. On cloud nine, living the dream.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Living the
work for
dream.
myself, man. It's phenomenal.
Hey, speaking of somebody who's now working for themselves, did you guys see that our friend Adam Robinson went out on his own? Morning. Now has the Robinson Agency. I just want to give that a plug. Like, Adam's such a good dude and he's so smart. And he already had his own little side hustle going on. And I remember talking to him at one point. I'm like, why don't you just do that? I mean, like, you're good at that, And anyways, it's exciting to see him doing that. I hope that he has, a lot of success. I'm sure he'll have tons of success, even more than he already has, but I hope he jumps on the show. We can talk about it here. But for those who are watching, Adam Robinson, the Robinson Agency, he's just such a smart guy. I learned so much from him every time I talk to him. So working for himself, all good stuff. All good stuff. Yeah. So let me go back to Sir Robert Baena. So he's not going to be on the call today, but we had a chance to talk. Well, he's working, Chris. Just let it go.
Oh,
so
it's okay when he goes and works. Though.
That's right.
Not when
I had to rub it in. Just rub that in a little bit. That's right. So anyway, but we were talking earlier, and I didn't know this, but today is I want to say it's the what anniversary is it? Hang on, let me look real quick. I think he said it's the 14-year anniversary of 14-year anniversary of the Virginia Tech shooting. And of course, we had the FedEx shooting today. We got news of that, which was unfortunate. But come to find out, Robert Baena's sister was in some of those buildings on campus at Virginia Tech when that happened, and she was able to get out, which was incredible. But 37 people lost their lives, just a terrible incident. And so Robert asked if we would take a moment of silence in honor of those 37 students that lost their lives, and obviously with the FedEx situation. So we're just going to take 10 seconds and pause for a moment. All right. Thank you. It's interesting. When you take a moment of silence, I never really understood what it's for, but when you do it, you sometimes it just allows you to think, just allows you to ponder, how precious life is. And those people at FedEx, for example, that went to work, none of them thought that was the last day they'd be here. Their loved ones didn't think it was the last day. And, we just never know. You never know when it's going to be your time,
Yeah. I feel like it's such a shame to say it's more and more common these days. I mean, up in Boulder, I don't know if y'all heard, but this was probably 2 weeks ago, but the same thing happened at a King Soopers, so a grocery store. Just out of nowhere, somebody just started opening fire. And I think 8 or 9 people ended up losing their lives, but it's just a normal trip to the grocery store. And then it just like that, it's nuts.
It's really crazy. I mean, it's one of those debates I think we're going to have as a country forever, just because of the Second Amendment and its purpose, but the unfortunate side effects that come from that. It's heartbreaking, and I wonder how much this happened in the past that we didn't necessarily hear about as much, just because of how fast news spreads now in the last 20 years. 40 years ago, if this happened, would you really hear about it, or would it remain a local issue? I don't know, but it's pretty wild. Well, let's turn to some good news real quick. Kristy Knichel is with us, everybody. Kristy, how are you?
I'm doing good. I just got off the Road Dog XM Sirius radio station with some carriers.
So this is your media day.
So
you're just going. That's right. You're just going back and forth from outlet to outlet. I like it. It's like your Friday news show days. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So who's hosting that now? Because I know that Duna was doing a little bit with that, but who's hosting that now?
It's the TIA in connection with Kevin Rutherford with they're calling it Broker Connect. They're really trying to connect carriers with the brokers and a better understanding of building relationships. Not all brokers are bad per se, So it was definitely interesting to hear some of the carriers calling. I mean, when you hear the guys call in, you hear the issues they have, and obviously some names of companies came up in the way they do things, and all I can say is not all brokers are created equal. So you gotta try to build relationships with other brokers, and sometimes the smaller mid-sized ones.
Yeah, I actually posted about that this week on LinkedIn. I was talking to our friend Curtis Schreiber over at Power Only. We were just having a conversation about the state of the market and what it's like being a broker right now, and the customer relationships and how they're managing that, but also just the carrier relationships, and how important it is in this moment to have carriers that really are partners. That are they going to make a little more money right now? Yeah, they're going to make a little more money, but they're not going to gouge you like we're hearing. I mean, Curtis was telling me about $10 a mile on loads, and carriers are like, nah, I need 12. Like, really? We're having this conversation? Like, that's really where you're at on that. And It's wild, so he's talking to customers and carriers alike to say, hey, this is a crazy time. It's going to change again. Let's be partners on this, and work together, and just having that carrier relationship and developing that, which by the way, is not something that you're going to get right now. It's something that you've probably been working on for the past 2 or 3 years. Right. So that's really the value of it, but that's cool. What was the number one issue that you heard from carriers? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, something came up regarding like the rate with fuel, and it's a consistent lane, and fuel's going up, but the rate's not changing. And that basically goes back on the carrier to negotiating with the broker on if they want more money, that type of thing. But they think the broker's keeping the money, and maybe that is the case. Who knows? But at the end of the day, it's in the carrier hands to do that. And tracking obviously came up with a specific company, being called constantly, even though they're tracking them a different way, that type of stuff. So, and the interesting thing too is, if you remember last year, you had the carriers thinking that brokers were screwing them over basically and making all this money. And because the market was soft, there was not a lot of freight shipping, when COVID happened. So now the tides have turned, and you don't hear anyone talking about that. So that's interesting. Right.
Oh yeah, it definitely changes. I heard 2 things along those lines. Is I've heard of brokers who are going to their customers and doing a cost plus model, just saying, listen, I know this, it hurts. But I'm just going to make 10% on every load, or 7%, whatever percentages that you agree on, and just say, I'll have a truck for you, and I'll tell you what the price is when I have the truck. But that's how we'll roll. And that's been successful. And then I've also heard on the flip side, and maybe some of you can comment on this, is that the quality of service has gone down dramatically from a lot of carriers, not all, but from a lot of carriers, because they don't have to right now. Like, they don't have to provide good service in order to win the load. They're going to get the load whether they, provide good service or not. I don't know if you guys are experiencing that, or if that's just anecdotal. What's been your experience on that?
That's been my experience throughout the entirety of my career. Like, that hasn't changed. Like, it doesn't matter. There's carriers out there that have operated like that forever. Legitimately, it's a commodity, and that's what it is at the end of the day. This is a commodity driven market. No matter what anybody wants to say, like, carriers are going to charge these rates, and then it's going to flip back, and then they're going to be bitching and moaning again and everything else. And then 8 months later, the tides are going to turn. And it's just like, I know some of my clients that I'm working with, Trey, right now, they're not feeling this effect because they have invested in the right relationships, because a lot of what we're seeing,
that's the difference.
This is spot market problems. This isn't
spot market
you've
volatility.
Been working with me for 5 years and you've literally grown my fleet from 2 to 12 trucks relationships, because a lot of people want to post that. They want to drive and get the cheapest truck on there. And then that driver falls off, and then they go and they get another cheap truck. They're not invested in it. Like, this is now a problem. But then when this shit shifts back in 6 or 8 months or whenever it is, it's going to be an afterthought. And then in a year from now, if the market does a full pendulum shift, we'll be having this exact same conversation.
Yeah. Well, but let me follow up on that real quick. Are you seeing customers? Sorry, Justin, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, one thing that Cassandra Gaines always brought up is that, like, in every market, in every field, there's bottom feeders, right?
Yeah.
Legal, trucking, whatever you go into, there's always bottom feeders.
That's a great point.
There are people who are going to screw the prices for everybody else because they're going to say, oh, I'll do it for this rate. But then they provide horrible service. You lose your load somewhere, or, whatever industry you're in, you get crappy product, whatever it was that you paid for, because you decided you were going to pay. Oh, look, he's cheaper, I'm going to go with that. So, it's the same thing with my industry. I always tell people, I am not the cheapest person you're going to find. You're going to find several others out there that are much cheaper than me. Now, if you ever get taken to court, good luck, because, it's like having the general insurance. Like, it's great because it's cheap, but don't get in.
Hey, don't be slamming on Shaq. He's been president for a long time.
But I mean, that's the way it's going to be with any industry that you're in. There's always going to be those people who are going to screw it up for everybody else.
Yeah.
And the problem is, when they get found out, all they do is retread and re-enter somewhere else. They change their name, buy a new truck, just
reinvent themselves,
and go right back in.
I think one of the key things too there, Trey, that you hit on is that even in these times of volatility, though, we're going to see ebbs and flows, and you can still have a good relationship with a carrier and a customer. And if a carrier comes to me and says, hey, not in these exact words, but I can make an extra $1,000 somewhere else. Can you give me an extra couple of bucks? That's fair, right? That's reasonable. And they're not going to, say, hey, I'm going to the absolute highest bidder. I'm going to drop your load on you an hour before it's supposed to pick up. And same with the customers. If I've got a good customer, I've got that relationship with them, I can go to them and say, hey, it's going to turn around, but right now we need a couple extra bucks. And the issue runs into when you get, individuals who they see that and they try and push both sides at the same time. And that's where they constrain those relationships.
I just think that a lot of the problems that brokers have is they're not vetting carriers when they're selling the freight. They're literally just saying it picks up in Charlotte, it delivers in Nashville, it's 20 from the hip pounds, and then it pays $1,200. That's it. That's their vetting process. They're not asking anything deeper than that. They're not trying to see anything else about it because they're still concerned about, and I mean, I'm all about making money. I truly am. But you're not going to, that's not a sustainable model. That's not going to continuously work time and time again, because it's like what you're missing on is how much time your staff is working to recover 15 shipments a day at this rate. And it's like that, those are the hidden costs that don't show up on a P&L for a brokerage. And it's like, you have to actually vet these drivers. They will tell you everything they intend to do to you if you actually listen and ask the right questions. It's that simple. If they don't know when they're supposed to get offloaded, that's a red flag. I mean, I would think that would be common practice, but it's stuff like that that they don't apply. They don't ask this stuff. And then they're like, why the hell isn't this driver picking up? Oh, it turns out he never had a delivery appointment because he never asked.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point. It seems like training is definitely an issue, but go ahead, Kristy.
I was just going to say real quick, I mean, Chris, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, and that's what this whole show is that we were just doing, is letting carriers know, like, hey, it's better to build that relationship in the brokers as well. The brokers have to build that relationship too, so that you both know each other, trust each other, and you don't have those issues that happen. But unfortunately, I think the way this industry is, there's a lot of that doesn't happen. And the ones that do that will succeed. The ones that don't will continue to have these issues.
Yeah. If they don't know how many times a week they're in a certain city, that's a red flag. I'm sorry. Like, that means that they don't know what lanes they're running. They're crisscrossing the country for a rate per mile, which rightfully so. Get out there and make your money. But you can't build a relationship with a carrier who operates like that. You can't do it. But yet,
Chris, let me ask you a follow-up question on that. So this is what I want to know is, why are carrier sales reps, procurement special, why are they not doing that now? Is it because of poor training, or is it because they don't have the time? They're so busy trying to cover load that they're not asking? Is it so it's more of a training issue?
That's the question for leadership of all of these organizations out there. That's not a question for me. I know the answer to that. And it's a lack of training. They're thrown on the floor. They're given a list, and you're like, all right, cover this shit, and that's it. There's some.
They're not giving the training or the tools either.
Yeah. And they're always about, let's go to the next one. So it's continually in that cycle of poor training and then continuing that motion.
The way that they're compensated.
The bar to get into the transport industry as a broker or as a carrier is way too low.
Yeah. Well, so is parenting, Juan, but we don't do anything about that.
I just think that there's such a
and voting. I mean, there's a lot of things that the bar's pretty low on.
Exactly.
You don't have to know how the government works. You can vote. You don't have to know anything about parenting. You can become a parent. So,
in a perfect world, capitalism would root out the people who don't produce. So you got a bad company, you're not able to deliver. People would stop paying for that. But there's always going to be a sucker. There are always going to be people who they try to get the bottom dollar. They feel pressure from their higher ups to save money. And, they're not told the consequences that if you try to save that much money and you lose all of our loads, you're going to get fired. So, I mean, people just don't think it through enough, and they don't have the guts to go to management and say, look, I know this is cheaper, but I'm kind of afraid that we're going to lose our tails on this deal. And so it just keeps on cycling and cycling and cycling. And again,
it does come down to management too, where if your leadership team is only hounding, scrape an extra $5 out, scrape an extra $10 out, then the carrier sales reps are going to take that, and that's what they're going to do. Right. If your leadership team is saying, hey, here's a tool, something as simple as here's a little bit of training. Here are the questions you need to have when you're going to be booking a load. And here's a notebook that we had printed up that every load you book, you can put the load number, when and where they're getting empty, what they're ET, like all those details. It's something simple that you can do. And all of a sudden the carrier sales reps like, oh, we know when and where they're getting empty because we asked that question. It's in front of us. And, you know, it's easier to teach somebody to be a carrier sales rep than it is to teach them to be a parent, because you can sit, you know, put the processes down system by system.
Amen to that. I will agree with that. But I would also say this. So I think there's two issues here. So training is one of them. We'll go to that. But two, I almost think it's how they're compensated as well. Because if you had an incentive, I mean, people, especially in sales, will always do what makes them the most money. That's just the way that they think. So if you incentivize them to build better relationships, where they got paid a higher percentage on a repeat carrier or a carrier that does X number of loads for them, or some way that you can incentivize them,
that's
have
genius.
a relationship.
Yeah, but you have to have it in a way where it doesn't, because like we tried that. I've tried that in the past, but their overall incentive wasn't shifted by that. So it's like just adding that in there, like, hey, if you book this carrier 15 times in a month and they pick up and deliver on time, you'll get a bonus. If it's not a large enough number to like resonate with them, they're not going to do it.
Well, sure. But the number has to matter. If it's peanuts, who cares? But if it's significant, like if that's what you really value as a company.
Yeah, but what you see on the other side then is that they can game it to, okay, well, I have two carriers, both of them. That's the way it works. True, but two carriers, both of them are relative.
You got to game it in your favor.
I'm going to purposefully give it to this guy, even though he's an extra $50. And in this situation, we should have saved that $50, right? It's two good carriers that can do the job.
So there's a matrix that needs to go in place. There's probably like a matrix that goes into the company, their performance, all that. I don't know. I'm just saying, if you want to incentivize these things to change, you have to pay them differently.
But that's when you get to the point where the incentive gets to be too complicated. That, I mean, an incentive program to be effective needs to be as simple as possible.
Yeah, Nick, tell us what you think, man. Welcome.
So
you went 23 minutes without saying a word. What's up?
I'm just listening in, right?
Nice kid.
Yeah, it was nice.
The incentivizing people is not going to help, right? So when my wife used to run like her own sales marketing company, they said, like, they done the same thing, but they done research on this. And actually, if you incentivize people like with money or bonuses or whatever, actually doesn't make them work harder. I think it starts with the strategy of the company, and like all the way from the outset. If the outset of the company straight away is like clear, because people do what's quickest, right? So people are lazy. They find a lazy way to do something. So if from the outset people know where they stand and how it's done, so it falls into training, but like the strategy, if it's a long-term strategy or short-term strategy, it all starts from that.
There's definitely a cultural component to it. I will give you that. Right. Everyone at Chick-fil-A treats you the same way because there's a cultural component, not because they get paid more to say my pleasure, right? I mean, I get that. So there's definitely a component to that. At the same time, I would also say that if you're hiring people who are competitive and want to make money, you can change their behavior by incentivizing them a certain way.
There is a lot of research out there on like what is the correct incentivization for. Is it just cash? Is it more time off? Is it
it's actually person by person, because what matters to one person will not matter to the other person. I mean, now in my life, it's different than where I was when I was 23, right?
I read an interesting book about solely using cash bonuses. And if you do that, it's like Chris was saying, you kind of condition people to only want that cash. And then if the cash isn't there, the work goes away or, something like that.
Imagine if you had a hobby that just you needed time, right? Yeah. If you had a hobby that you needed time, maybe time is your incentive. You hit your goals, you can have Friday off or Friday afternoon off, Right. Those kind of things are important.
Is everyone on like a commission basis strategy or like, or is it like a base salary and then?
No, most positions are actually salaried positions. There's few that are actually commissioned.
But I always said incentive. Do commission based, and then you will see who works hard and who will make
100%, Nick. I agree with that wholeheartedly. For any customer sales rep out there, because that's the thing is a lot. Some of the salaries that I've heard, and Coleman, he's a recruiter. He can probably back this up. The salaries that are being thrown out there for some sales reps are absurd. And it's why would I want to sell if I know I'm going to be getting a X salary deposit every 2 weeks? I have no reason at that point. And it happens often. You want to find your true sales reps, have them be a 1099 employee. Have them say, give me a higher commission percentage on that. That's where your real sales reps will come out of.
Yeah, unless you're asking them to do non-sales activities, then you need to compensate for that.
Right.
But you're absolutely right about that. Yeah.
I know.
All right, everybody, we got to pause for a second. We got a special guest with us, and hopefully another special guest coming in here and really soon. My good friend Vernon Fox is here on the show. Vernon, you should show us your camera so you can be on the show. There he is. There's my man.
What's up?
Vernon. I don't know if you guys know this guy. Those of you that were in Vegas know this guy. He was one of our speakers at the show. Vernon Fox is an 8-year NFL veteran, everybody. He was an undrafted free agent, had the opportunity to go to the San Diego Chargers out of Fresno State, proved himself, went to 4 different teams over 8 years. There you go. and had a great career, but it didn't end there. After his playing career, he went and coached high school football here in Las Vegas, won a state championship with that team, grew that program to be just a dominant program. And then just recently stepped out of that to become more of a motivational speaker, business coach, entrepreneur. And so he too, Chris Jolly, is running his own show, which is very exciting. Yeah. And Vernon and I had the chance to have breakfast yesterday and just, talk life, and our kids are almost the same age. And so pretty cool. But Vernon, thanks for being on the show, man. It's so good to have you.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Trey. How you guys doing this morning?
Doing well.
Friday. It's a good day. Always a good day.
It's like 2 days in a row with you, man. I'm so thankful. I get to see you twice in a row, which is great. So, well, Vernon, if you don't know, Vernon was one of my guests on Bathrooms and Bunkers. The new episode dropped today, and I'm actually going to put that link into the chat box for you guys, and I'll put it onto the notes for the replay. But make sure you check that out. Had a good chance to hang out with Vernon and Marques Ogden, who's going to be coming in here in just a minute, hopefully. Marques, by the way, was a left tackle for a couple of organizations: Tennessee Titans, Jacksonville Jaguars, and I think did he play for the Ravens as well?
I believe so.
Maybe. Yeah, I thought he did for maybe a year or so. So those two guys had 13 years in the NFL. We had a workout as a part of the podcast, and it's pretty hilarious. I went up against these guys, and they're like 10 years out of the league, but my goodness, they're still strong and fast. So it was a lot of fun. You guys will get a kick out of that. So Vernon, tell everybody about what you're doing right now.
Yeah, man. Well, in this actual moment, I was actually just stopping in the middle of my workout.
Okay, not right now.
I get it. I get it. I just had to let you guys know. I mean, it's like, man, I know I look like I'm all sweaty and everything, but yeah, just stopped in the middle of the workout. But man, I'm excited with some things that I have going on. I'm actually in the middle of a writing project, so nice. I'll be publishing and putting out my first book. On top of that, as you mentioned, speaking, coaching, and consulting, doing some actual personal life coaching stuff. I was certified in 2020. So I've been doing that on top of the business consulting and just speaking where possible. A lot more virtual these days, but all the same, just trying to make a difference in the lives of individuals all over this world.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Vernon is all about like helping young people become excellent in the coaching. He's just a coach teach mentality, which I love. Absolutely. So Vernon, I'm sure some of these guys may have some football questions for you. So I want to start off with one, and that is who's your favorite player to play with on the 8 seasons in the NFL, 4 different teams? Who is the guy that, man, you just loved going to battle with?
Man, you know what? There's a number of them, man. And a select few that I'm really, really close with now, and guys that are still my buddies and that I communicate with, even, being extended from the league, 10 years now. But one in particular that everyone would know is Brian Dawkins. Man, I played with B Doc out in Denver during the last couple of years of both he and I's career. And man, he was a blast to play with, man. Just a strong man of faith. Super passionate, everything that you'd imagine that Brian Dawkins would be. He was that on and off of the field, and someone that I stay in communication with today.
What years were you in Denver?
So my last 2 seasons were in Denver. So 2008 and 2009 seasons. That's where I ended my career.
So that was before the Tim Tebow era, before the Peyton Manning era.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Right before Tim got there. And so my first year was with Mike Shanahan. And then my last year was Josh McDaniel, his one and only year as a head coach out there.
That's right.
Yeah.
Was John Elway the GM at that point?
No, yet? He wasn't. No, he wasn't at that time.
Okay. Okay, very good. I'm trying to put all that together, but that's pretty cool. Who else has a question for Vernon about NFL? Anybody want? Yeah, Chris.
I got one. Vernon, who was the greatest leader you played for?
The greatest leader I played for would have to have been Joe Gibbs. And it was in Joe's second stint, even after he had already been tabbed a Hall of Fame coach. And I think the thing I respected most about Joe was his ability to separate kind of coaching the players individually, just as men, and then also leading the team in the organization. And his leadership skills, qualities, characteristics, his personality, his integrity, all of that, man, put together just made for a tremendous leader.
Love it.
That's awesome. Is he still in car racing now, I think he's still.
I believe so. Yeah. He's
stuff.
still has the NASCAR team.
Yeah, that's right. Kyle, you got a question. What's up, man?
Yeah, Vern, what do you think
Good
about
to see
NIL?
you. Welcome, by the way.
Yeah, sorry. Just had to get that back shot, all the fun stuff. Vern, what do you think about NIL and the college players getting paid?
Ooh.
I think it'd be great if they actually do.
Hey man, my Florida State, the Knowles get it all set up, man. They branded, getting everyone ready.
Well, hey man, that's wonderful, and I think it's deserved. I think it's a delicate line, though. I think that you certainly don't want to pollute the game and cause it to be like as business-like as the league is, because once money gets involved in anything, it's diluted, and obviously it kind of loses its integrity. And you certainly don't want that class system being built within teams where now you got these guys who are the most popular guys, and because their jerseys sell the most, they're getting the most money, and it just gets polluted really quick. But at the same time, I think, if you're making money off of people, then people deserve to get a cut of that pie.
Yeah.
What did you think about UCF putting the Twitter on the back of the jerseys for their spring game?
I don't know about that. What happened?
They put the kids' Twitter names as the back of their names for the jerseys for their spring game.
Yeah.
Gus Manziel trying to do anything he can to get people to come to damn Orlando.
I thought that was pretty clever.
Nuts. That's nuts.
Vernon, I like your point that you make. I don't think this point is actually made. The point that the NCAA tries to make is that they're amateur athletes and they're getting a scholarship. I think the actual point that you made is better, that money would actually corrupt the game, that there'd be corruption. It would just change the game, right? I think that point is actually more valid to make, but I agree with you that if they're making money off of you, I think you should get something. I mean, there's, I don't know if it's a trust fund after you graduate, maybe there's kind of a piece of pie waiting for you when you're done. Or I don't know how it works, but I agree with you on that. That needs to be addressed.
In some capacity. Obviously, you don't want to kind of interfere also with the NCAA rules and those things, which I think they're put in place for a reason, and it keeps the game safe on some levels. But like you say, I thought about it with that NCAA game when they started talking about that. I remember my senior year. Like, that game was awesome, and I remember playing with myself and all of that stuff. So that was before the actual days where I was on a Madden game. So that was like, man, when I thought about that, it was exciting.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Anybody else have an NFL question, football question, or life question for Vernon? Kyle, you got?
I have one.
Okay, Juan, you go first, and we'll go back around.
Juan, this is American football, not soccer.
Yeah. Okay.
Juan's down in Colombia, just so you know, Vernon. He's our friend down in Colombia.
Awesome. Good to meet you, Vernon. I saw that
Likewise.
Your bathroom and bunkers this morning, first thing in the morning. Came up on my YouTube, but
he's always the first one to like it. Thank you, Juan.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
I'm subscribed. I'm the things up. Vernon, I wanted to ask you more like from a personal experience. Out of your entire career, 2 moments. One, when were you and who that made like one of those moments that you like checked it out like and highlighted it? When were you tackled down the hardest, and when did you tackle down the hardest?
Oh man. Okay. So I think the hardest hit that I took, well, there are 2 moments that I can remember. So I'll give you both of them instead of just the one.
And then there's probably many others you don't remember because you got hit so hard. That's
absolutely. But the one that I remember distinctly was my rookie season during the preseason. So it was the last preseason game. We were playing against the 49ers. And so I'm doing everything in my power to make this team. So I was undrafted, and it's the last preseason game. I'm happy to have even made it this far. And I played pretty much every snap of the game. So they started me on defense, and I played all the special teams. So I'm dog tired, and I'm running down on the kickoff, and some dude cleaned me up so bad. Like I just remember my helmet being twisted and like blood in my mouthpiece. Like it was that type of hit. So I'll never forget that. And then probably about year 5, I was on the kickoff return team for the Detroit Lions, and we were playing against the Green Bay Packers. And I don't know if you guys remember William Henderson. He's like this huge fullback that played. Oh yeah. And this dude is like
he's a
10-year vet. Yeah, he's running down on the kickoff. And so in my mind, I'm like, I just want to get in his way. I don't want him to know that I have him. So I'm trying to like bluff him and look away. And the last minute, I stood in front of him, and just like you expect, he ran right through me. And I put my arm back to stop myself from falling. And like I flew, I put my arm back and dislocated my elbow. It was the worst pain I ever felt in my life. So I'll never forget that. Probably my greatest moment. I don't know if you guys remember when they used to have Jacked Up on ESPN.
Oh yeah.
They so I was on Jacked Up, and I can't find it. It's on a VHS tape somewhere, but I'm running down on the kickoff, and I don't know what happened. I kind of almost closed my eyes, and the lineman on the wedge moved out of the way. Either I made a miss or he moved out of the way. I don't know. But I never broke stride. I ran full speed, and the returner never saw me. So he was kind of trailing behind the line. And when they moved out of the way, it just opened up like a lane. And I kept running full speed and like hit him as I was running, lifted him off the ground. Like he flew back, 2 or 3 yards. I got a picture of it somewhere, man. It was a sweet moment, man.
That's awesome. Hey, so Nick, your next question, but before that, we got Marques Ogden. Marques, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us.
You doing all right? Doing well, man.
We're doing
meetings,
good.
All kind of stuff, man. You know how it rolls.
I know, man. You're a busy man for sure. So thank you for taking a few moments here. I was telling the guys that, episode 3 of Bathrooms and Bunkers dropped today. You're a 5-year vet in the NFL, got an incredible story. You have a book out already, The Success Cycle. So guys, check that out if you haven't seen that. But, Marques, we're talking a little bit about, best moments in the NFL. One question that Chris Jolly he's on the call here. You might have met him in Vegas. He was there. But one question is, who's the greatest leader that you ever played for? I think I know the answer, but I want to hear it.
Greatest leader I ever played for was Jack Del Rio, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Just, phenomenal head coach, great guy, just great mind, true players coach, but still was hard enough on us to get the maximum out of us at all times. So without a doubt, it was Jack Del Rio for sure.
Yeah, and that was in Jacksonville, correct?
Correct. Yeah,
he drafted you, right?
That was his rookie year in Jacksonville. It was my rookie year as a player. It was his rookie year as a head coach.
So he gave you the call when you were drafted, correct?
Yep, he sure did.
What was that call like?
Oh man, like I knew Jack for years because my brother was playing for the Ravens and Jack was there as a linebacker coach. So I knew him, he knew me, the family. And for him to call me and say, hey, who's been talking to you? What's going on? Like, give us a little update. I told him who would call, like Cleveland, Cincinnati, Dallas. Man, I tell everybody else to go away. You're done. You're a Jaguar now. Look forward to seeing you in camp. Get on that plane, get down here as quickly as you can, and get into this Jacksonville Jaguar family. And that was it.
Yeah, that's got to be just an incredible moment you'll never forget. It's such a cool story. I mean, the draft is coming up. Is it next week? Is it on Thursday end of next week? Is that when it starts? I think it's coming up either next week or the week after. It's coming up real soon, but pretty neat to see. Yeah, pretty neat to see those the lives change just overnight, instantaneously. Their life has changed forever, or at least the opportunity is changed forever. They still have to go make it happen, but that's really cool. So one thing that wanted to point out is on the Bathrooms and Bunkers podcast, we had the chance to do a little workout together, which is hilarious because I actually tried to rush. So just so you guys know, Marques was a left tackle. So I said, well, let me just see what this is like. So I get down to stance. I tried to rush him. I mean, he just threw me against the wall several times. But we also got to do yeah, that was fun for you. Yeah, I'm sure it was. We also got to do some drills, and I'm telling you, this man's got some quick feet. You've been out of the league, what, 12 years?
Yeah, 12 years.
And I'm telling you, like, quick feet. I mean, it's amazing. So when you understand the skill level of these guys, even though, what was your weight? 375 as a lineman? Isn't that what you told me?
Yep.
375, but quick feet, like just absolutely tremendous. Yeah, I know. That's like 2.5 of me. I don't know. That's a lot of people. That's crazy. But to have the quick feet and the skills, like he still had the skills. So definitely watch the podcast. It was a blast, and got the chance to talk about business and life and other things as well. And whether they prefer 70s rock 80s pop or 90s rap? That was one of the questions we asked. So you guys can check that out as well. So real quick, Nick, you had a question real quick. Why don't you shoot that your way? And Marcus, whenever you have to leave is fine, but thank you so much for coming on, man. Great to see you, bud. All right, Nick, what do you got?
Yeah, no, the biggest thing I wanted to hear is like, especially like coming from sports myself, like what's the biggest thing you learned on the field that you took with you off the field?
All right, let me answer that real fast, Brian. I'm gonna head out. So basically what I learned was that teamwork and servant leadership is gonna get you where you want to be in life, because a lot of players were great players, but their egos sometimes got in the way, and they didn't learn how to work as a team, and they really weren't locker room favorites. They weren't guys who wanted to be around. They weren't guys who wanted to spend time with outside of work. And my brother, who I got to play with in Baltimore, was a great player, a great leader, never had a contract issue. I played with Ray Lewis, same situation. And I learned from guys like my brother, Ray Lewis, and Reed about being a pro and having culture, but also having that humble mentality to truly already say, hey, I know I'm really good at what I do, but I don't have to act like I'm great at what I do. And that was what I taught me. And it helped me now in my current business, training as a speaker, a coach, a consultant, is having that humble servant leadership mentality. You can always put yourself and others around you in the best foot going forward. So just want to end with that, Trey. I'll talk to you soon, brother.
Thanks, Marcus. Good to have you on the show, man.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good one,
And for those of you guys that don't know, so Vernon, you're going to answer that question in a minute, but for those of you guys that don't know, Marcus' brother is Jonathan Ogden, who's a Hall of Fame left tackle for the Baltimore Ravens. So football runs in their family, really cool story. Marcus is a great guy. He's on LinkedIn, so you can connect with him and he'll talk to anybody. He's just a great guy. So with that said, Vernon, tell us your answer about that story, the lesson you learned on the field that you've now, taken with you off the field.
I think for myself, one of the characteristics or personality traits that I felt like was developed during the game of football was perseverance. Unlike Marcus, I was far from 375. I'm 5'10", just over 200 or whatever. And so, I wasn't a really big guy. As I mentioned, I was undrafted, went in as a free agent. I was sixth string, my rookie year, had to kind of work my way from being like 95th guy on the roster to that final 53. And so I learned really the value of perseverance, of just pursuing a goal and understanding, what tenacity and stick-to-itiveness look like. And I've just translated that into every area of my life, whether it's business, my personal life. And I've been married for 16 years. I believe, that same personality trait goes into, sustainability in whatever facet of life that you find yourself. And so I teach that to every single person that I encounter, whether that's through business consulting, as a coach and working with individuals, or when I was a football coach and just working with young men. I wanted them to understand those same traits and to carry them into their life to be, men of character, integrity, accountability, and excellence.
I love it. What a great answer. That's awesome. And Vernon has become one of my favorite people of all time. Like, I just love listening to him talk.
Of all time? Wow.
All time. Like, I'm not joking. Like, seriously, like we had breakfast yesterday, and I thought that was going to be like a 45-minute breakfast. And I think we sat there for an hour and a half, and we probably could have gone longer than that. There was such a cool camaraderie, and just listening to you, just share your heart and, what you've learned and what you're passionate about. I can't get enough of that, man. I loved it. So,
man, both, man. Likewise, I feel the same.
All
Trey,
time?
I have a question.
All time? Okay, all right. Okay, Diana. Turn your camera on if you're going to ask a question. So people on the show watching on YouTube can't see you. Come on.
Well, that's good because I'm drinking a Corona and I'm probably going to get you demonetized. So, because I say a lot of shit that I'm not supposed to.
We love you, Diana. All right, what's your question?
So I guess my question is, what advice would you give to youth wanting to start out playing football?
Wow, good question. There's so many things that you can tell them. But the first thing is that struggle is inevitable. So that's kind of one of my flagship 3 pieces to success. The first piece being success is intentional. And then the next part is that struggle is inevitable. I think they have to expect the hard part. I have a son right now who is 11, and he's played flag football since he was 4. I've held him out of tackle football for various reasons, health related and just, my care and concern for his maturity and growth and development. And so he's going to start playing at 12. And he asked me the same question. He's like, Dad, like, how do I enter into this thing? And the first thing I told him is that you got to be prepared to know that it's going to be difficult. You know, every day is not going to be easy. He's had the benefit of excelling and being successful, and his talents have carried him a long way. And I told him, I mean, the playing field evens. As you get older, you know, people catch up to you talent wise, you know, and you'll be challenged in ways that you haven't been challenged. You've never worn pads before. You know, it's hot in Las Vegas. You're out in full pads in 110-degree weather. Like, all of those things play with your mental. And so if you go in already expecting that struggle is going to be a part of your process, then you can conquer that in advance. And it starts with a mindset. It's not about your skill set. It's about your mindset. And if you can wrap your mind around the idea that this is going to be hard, but I have the ability to overcome that, then you have the potential to go out and to be successful. And that's transferable. Again, football taught me a ton of life skills. And that's something that, yeah, I tell a young person going into football, but I tell them that going into life, graduating from high school, going to college, going into the workforce, it's all the same for me.
That's awesome. What a great answer.
Thank you.
Thanks
yes,
for sharing
I
that, Vernon.
That.
Absolutely, Diana.
Incredible. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Any other questions for Vernon? Anything else anybody wants to know?
Where did you coach in Vegas?
So I was at a high school. It's called Faith Lutheran High School. So it's the largest Lutheran school in the United States. And most people have heard of Bishop Gorman High School, which is a large Catholic high school here in Vegas. We're literally right down the street. I'd be hard pressed to say that we're rivals, because there's not many rivals for Bishop Gorman. They're that good. but we were, you know, competitors. Honestly, here's the cool thing is that when I entered into that program in 2013, Trey mentioned, I was able to be a part of a team that won the first state championship. We were 12-2, the first in the school's at that time, 34-year history. And we were in 3A at that time. And in a matter of 7 years, we climbed from 3A all the way up to 5A, you know, played against some national opponents. You know, we're in the league finally with Bishop Gorman. Dana White's son played for us, like, you know, went to a level of notoriety, and it was really cool.
I'm a proud basic high school.
Oh, I love it.
The Basic Wolves. That is literally the name of my high school. Basic
high school.
Basic high school. Yes, sir.
They could have come up with a better mascot than Wolves for that. I mean, you could have some fun with that.
The mascot is the Wolves. They can keep the mascot, but we've been begging for decades. Stupid name. Like, everybody asked us if we had to wear our helmets off the field too, and I mean.
Oh, that's pretty funny. I think I told you guys this, but my buddy coached for a team up in Missouri, the Putnam County Midgets. Like that, like those two things should go together. And I'm telling you, they can't get rid of that nickname. Like, they're proud of it. I could totally see the Basic High School Midgets. Like, that would actually be pretty. That'd be pretty classic.
It makes
no
for a
offense
rough
to
line.
short people. No offense.
So Justin, I actually went. So I'm from Vegas. So I actually attended and played at Cimarron Memorial High School. So you'd be familiar with Cimarron.
Yeah, I know. I think actually Cimarron came along after I graduated.
Yeah. We were one of the newer schools.
There's like
in the
100
90s.
schools out there now. There were about 15 or 20 when I graduated, but
yes, sir.
Way back in the day.
Way
back in the day.
Way back. I think I'm the oldest person that's on these calls.
You typically are. I don't know. I'm not sure what Meshach's age is. Maybe Meshach.
Yeah, Meshach has me.
I don't want to throw any shade because I don't know. I mean, maybe, you know, but he's probably close to. I mean, I'm 43. I don't know what you guys are.
He's probably in his 30s.
Yeah, I was gonna say Meshach is either 30 or 55. There's really not a whole lot of.
The profile picture.
Could go either way.
Profile picture. You got to look at it.
I could go either way. Oh, that's great. Well, Vernon, thanks for joining us, man. So good to have you on the show. Get back to your workout. Have fun with that. And again, thanks so much for your time yesterday. Love seeing it. Thanks for being on the podcast. I think it's going to be great. Use it as much as you can. But thanks so much for your time today.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys. I'm going to go work out. And Trey, next time I'm not going to take it as easy on you when we get out on the field.
You were taking it easy on me? I didn't realize
those are all the clips you guys picked too. I'm like, oh.
I know. I wish I could have a little more.
Bad ones?
I wish I could have a little more say in some of the clips that are used. I will say that, but it was still a lot of fun. So
no worries. All right, you guys take care.
We'll talk soon, man.
Thanks, Vernon.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, so we got Aaron who joined us from the car, of course. Aaron, what's up? How are you today?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're doing great. Do you have people in the car with you there? You got a whole family full of people there?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
We had not Target today. We went to IKEA.
Oh, getting real rowdy.
Oh yeah.
Dropping the kids
that
off.
one was very costly. Yeah.
IKEA is they're an interesting breed. I mean, they get you walking through the whole store. Eventually, by the end, you're like buying plastic straws or something. I mean, you're picking something up on your way out. I mean, you can't walk out of the place without something, So pretty crazy. Good model for them. All right, everybody, we're going to transition. We got a couple of segments here we're going to finish with today. We're not going to get to a poll today, believe it or not. It's just not going to happen. We'll get to a poll another time, but I think today with Vernon was hopefully worth it for everybody. Hope you really enjoyed that. But we're going to transition real quick to celebrating Black History Month all year long. I thought this would be, see you, Racquelle. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk soon. But I thought this would be a really cool week to really highlight somebody who is an absolute, incredible person when it came to breaking color barriers, and that's Jackie Robinson. So we had the Jackie Robinson Day in baseball. I believe that was on Wednesday. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe that was on Wednesday. They had that. Everybody in the league wore number 42. Nobody in the league will ever wear that number again on a regular basis, which is an incredible tribute to what he did. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to give you 11 maybe lesser known facts about Jackie Robinson today. So number one, did you know that Jackie Robinson's older brother was a silver medalist at the Olympics? A lot of people didn't know that. So
what was he a medalist?
Very athletic in the family. Let's see. I didn't read that far. But anyways, you can read that later. I got the link. I'll put the link in the chat. You can check it yourself. Number two, did you know that he was an accomplished athlete in several other sports? He went to UCLA.
He said baseball was his worst sport in college.
That's right. He was a guard in basketball. He played quarterback in football. By the way, shout out to those 3 sport athletes or multi-sport athletes. A lot of people try to specialize. Don't do it, kids. Don't do it. Play other sports. You'll learn how to.
Physical therapists don't do that.
That's right. Those skills are transferable too. So, I mean, you look at the way Patrick Mahomes throws, and you can tell that dude played shortstop at some point. I mean, he's throwing. So it's good stuff. Number 3, did you know that he was a good friend of boxer Joe Louis during his time in the Army? Thank you for your service, Jackie Robinson. What an incredible guy. But knew Joe Louis in the Army. I bet they had some pretty good stories to tell from their time in the military. Number 4. Did you know that Robinson didn't play baseball between ages 21 and 26? He actually took some time off. It was interrupted a little bit because of the war. And so he did not even start playing professionally until he was 26. Pretty crazy. Number 5, did you know that some Brooklyn Dodgers players signed a petition against Robinson joining the team? So it wasn't just that they didn't, the opportunity didn't arise. They were literally wanting to keep him out. And his teammates did that. Pretty crazy. Number 6, did you know that Jackie Robinson was known for his skill at bunting? He was one of the better bunters out there. A lot of people don't know that so much about him. He was a bunter. Did you know he testified before the House Un-American Activities Committee in 1949? So he spoke in front of Congress. I bet that was a pleasure. Number 8, did you know that the FBI investigated after Robinson received death threats? He received quite a few in 1951, as you can imagine. The entire team had to stay in facilities that had security at all times, the buses that they rode. It was a pretty crazy time for him and for his teammates. Pretty crazy. Did you know that he starred in a Hollywood movie based on his life story called The Jackie Robinson Story? I've never seen that. Has anybody seen that movie? I haven't seen it either. That'd be a pretty good one probably to catch up on. Be a good one. I wonder where we can find that. Is that streaming? Someone find out if that's streaming somewhere. Let's check that out.
It's gotta be.
Number 10. Did you know that he campaigned for Richard Nixon during the 1960 presidential election? Yeah. After retiring from baseball in 1957, he devoted himself to the civil rights movement and became an active voice in politics, and then campaigned for a Tricky Dick, as he's known. All right. And lastly, did you know that he continued to break down racial barriers after leaving baseball? He had other firsts besides joining the Major League Baseball Association after he was done. So after he retired from sports, he took a job with a coffee shop chain chock full of nuts and became the first Black vice president of a major American corporation. In 1965, he made history again when he joined ABC TV Sports as the nation's first Black baseball announcer. So a tribute to Jackie Robinson today as we think about what he did for baseball, as well as that whole time era when color barriers are being broken in other sports as well. So pretty cool and something to celebrate. So I'll put that link in the chat box here so you guys can see that and to kind of read through some of those as well. Maybe get into a little bit more detail about his brother that won the silver medal that I clearly did not do. So
200 meters.
Cool on that.
200 meters.
200 meters. Wow.
Yeah, it was a reason. Yep.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. All right. And lastly, everybody, we only have like 5 minutes left. We're going to end our show today with a little This Week in Pictures and see some of the things that went on and talk about a little bit. And we'll go through as much as we possibly can. So let me share my screen real quick and then we will fire it up. So
Aaron, focus on driving, please.
Yeah.
Aaron.
There's precious lives in there.
All right. So here's what we got. So everybody, this right here, this is my dog Tiger, who this week decided to take a nap in a very, very odd way. Couldn't believe it, but I figured we'd snap a shot. I mean, look at that. That doesn't even, I mean, I almost feel bad as his owner that I let him do this. I mean, that's, there's going to be some back issues from that one right there. That's going to be bad down the road. All right. Also, this week in sports, as you guys know, we had the Masters. And one thing that I loved about the Masters this year was that they had different shots. They had aerial footage from drones. They had cameras on the ground, like people actually walking around. Normally, everything is from the towers, but this year they had people on the ground showing different shots so you could see the elevation. And I just thought this picture right here was just the best picture of the week. So I snapshot that on my phone and then wanted to share that. So pretty incredible footage this week to get a better perspective of the Masters and the hills and the undulation, all that great stuff. So pretty cool.
Did you see
also this week? Unfortunately, we talked about it earlier. We had the shooting today. The news today that I believe 8 people lost their lives at FedEx in Indianapolis. So that was a very sad news today.
Why
it's
FedEx?
The 14-year anniversary of the Virginia Tech shooting that we lost 37 people. Not sure if that's correlated or not, but it's very unfortunate. Also this week, we had a little tit for tat with Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin. We had some Russia's sanctions in play. At the same time, the administration said that they would like to engage in talks. That's a very interesting strategy, I think, of, hey, we're going to slap you with some penalties. Please come to the table. Justin, I think you're muted. I don't hear anything from you right now. That's all right. And am I hearing from anybody? Somebody say something.
You hear us?
I'm just not hearing anything. You guys just keep talking. I'm going to keep talking. You talk over me. We're going to end this thing up. All right. So also this week, the first Japanese born player won a major championship when Hideki Matsuyama won the green jacket. That's a very, very bad picture. But anyways, he won the green jacket and the beautiful trophy there of the clubhouse with the crow's nest up on top. Here's the best part. He flew commercial back to Japan. And so here in the airport is Hideki Matsuyama with the green jacket hanging over a seat. So pretty hilarious. I thought that was pretty enjoyable. Would love to have been in the airport when that happened, just rolling down with his green jacket. No big deal. But his life has changed forever. The Japanese media actually, like the newspaper, chronicled all 72 holes of the tournament in the newspaper. It's pretty amazing. So big deal over in Japan. Congratulations to Hideki Matsuyama for that win. Also, we had the Johnson & Johnson vaccine that was put on delay this week as concerns over blood clot issues in which one person died and 7 are in the hospital, many of which in ICU. Might cause some issues for people who are on the fence, as well as third and second world countries who are wondering which vaccine they're going to be getting. Some have said that they're disappointed that some of these vaccines with issues are being distributed in those countries. So we'll see what happens with that, if it slows things down or if everything blows over in a couple of weeks. But that was news this week as well. And finally, folks, I thought this would be a good way to end. This guy right here walked into a convenience store and tried to trade a live alligator for a 12-pack of beer. And I'm not sure where he got the idea, who came up with it, but it was worth sharing. I could not miss that. Would you like to have been behind the counter when you say, sir, that'll be $9.98? And he goes, I don't have it, but I got this fella right here, and it looks like you might want him. I don't know how that went down, but I
that was in Florida. That has to be Florida or Alabama.
That is this week in pictures, everybody. We're going to end it on that note. I can't hear any of you anyways. Have a great week, everybody, and thanks for joining Word on the Street, powered by Lean Solutions Group. Talk to you soon.
Hey, have fun, guys.